How you doing, everybody? I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to my 2024 qualitative hurricane season forecast. It is a little early on for me to be doing a numbered forecast, meaning me giving numbers, but I am still going to do a qualitative forecast for the 2024 season, just to point out the factors that we need to watch out for, because it's always good to start looking at things ahead of time in advance, and that's what I'm going to do today. But I'm not going to be doing any sort of number forecast, so if you're looking for that, I apologize, and if you want to click out, you can, but if you want to stay and see what I have to say, I gladly welcome you in. So let's get started. Starting off with a review of the 2023 hurricane season. This is a look. This is, you see behind here, the track map for the 2023 season. You obviously remember was a pretty active year. We had quite a bit of activity, especially for a strong El Nino, which we still are in right now, and will probably be in, will remain in an El Nino into the new year, but we'll probably see it weaken soon after, but I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But it was active. We had 20 named storms, fourth highest on record, though it honestly really doesn't mean much more now, especially if we take a look at how many active seasons we've had over the last 5, 6, even the last 3 years, how many active seasons we've had, and we've just had many seasons so far. I think this is our third season within the last few years that we've had over 20 named storms, so definitely a lot of activity for sure. 7 hurricanes, 3 majors, and we had a total of 3 U.S. landfalling storms this year. One of them, of course, being Idalia, if you remember, in late August. The main factors, though, when it comes to looking forward into a future hurricane season, one of them being ENSO, which is El Nino Southern Oscillation. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically El Nino and La Nina, one main factor as well, and we'll also look at others soon. These are the 3 main factors, but there are, of course, many more, a lot of which are also very intraseasonal, meaning they happen a lot more in a specific time throughout the hurricane season, which can affect it. But these are the factors we tend to look at that are larger scale and overall and easier to watch over a course of a multi-month time period. So that's why I have it here. And so Atlantic MDR, water temperatures in the main development region, which is what MDR stands for, main development region, the main region we watch for origin of tropical cyclones, and the Bermuda High, which is the high pressure that we see over the Atlantic. Some people call it the Azores Bermuda High. It's commonly referred to as the Bermuda High, but also people call it the Azores High. Basically, the high pressure in the Atlantic that we usually watch for in terms of steering storms in which direction they will go to, whether they'll go out to sea or whether they'll hit the United States and become landfalling storms. But that is a lot more of something we watch throughout the season as the season is happening rather than large scale, though we can sometimes detect what the pattern might be like on the long range climate models, some of which we'll actually be going over today. First of all, though, ENSO sea surface temperatures, as we mentioned, El Nino being a factor that we watch for, and so here it is how it is right now, December 19th. This is NOAA Coral Reef Watch, a map that we also use and will continue to use throughout the off season. Which, if you're not familiar with my channel, I do post weekly Saturday updates on stuff like this, and so climate conditions overall. Just looking ahead in the off-season months of the hurricane season. Hurricane season runs from June to November. The off-season months, which we're in right now, December, is usually anywhere between any month from December to May. And we're in the off season right now, and I do weekly updates, and I mention this sea surface temperature graphic as well as for this and the Atlantic. But we're going to talk about this right now, and you notice a lot of warmth in the Pacific. We're in El Nino, as I mentioned, a very strong El Nino right now, but will weaken over the next few months. And of course, the Atlantic sea surface temperature is arguably, especially after this year, you could come to the conclusion that is arguably the more important one to watch. And that too is very warm, especially this patch off the northern coast of Africa and even the eastern Atlantic as a whole. We see values consistently well above zero point 0.5, even 1 degree Celsius above normal. So a very active look, even already right now in the Atlantic as well, very warm out there. And it'll certainly be interesting to see how it fares out within the next several months. Something else, this is another factor that we watch for, though not as many people look out for it. But if you're more experienced and more well versed with climate factors that go into a hurricane season, you do pay attention to this as well. And I do pay attention to it. The SOI dashboard, the Southern Oscillation Index. This is the graphic from the Australian Bureau of Meteorology. And this is basically the index of the Southern Oscillation, which is in the Pacific. It's calculated in the Pacific, and it measures pressure pattern differences. And from that, they create an index. And this has a direct kind of input of how the atmosphere is behaving. And that directly correlates to ENSO as well. So these are all one thing you'll remember, and you'll notice if you're just beginning to track hurricanes. You're just getting into the idea of tracking storms, tracking hurricanes, and also the bigger climate factors. You'll notice the ocean and the atmosphere, they're all connected. They're all interconnected with each other. And one thing that is very representative is in the Southern Oscillation Index. And you notice, just to point out what's going on right now, the Southern Oscillation Index has been on the increase from the negative territory, a lot more, closer to zero over the last month or so. And that is interesting, especially when it comes to the development of El Nino. And I'll certainly watch it in the next months to come. Here, though, are one of the climate models. This is not a climate model per se, but this is from the IRI. From the CPC, the Climate Prediction Center. IRI, I forgot what this means. It's Institute something. But this is basically a model prediction. So this is a graph showing all the model predictions of ENSO, and this is something, as well as all the other climate models, that we will revisit once we get into every new month leading up to the hurricane season. Oh, this is another one too. But I'll go to that in just a moment. But really quickly want to focus on this. And this is kind of a map that shows all of the models, all the major dynamical models and statistical models too. So it shows everything. And then, but the thing that we pay attention to most is the averages here, these lines here, which represent the averages of all these models. And one thing you do notice, a lot of them on a downcline from the very strong El Nino that we are right now, the positive territory. This is representative of the Nino 3.4, the ENSO region, the main ENSO region that we watch for. Once again, when I'm talking about Nino 3.4 or ENSO, if you're not really familiar with what I'm saying, just think of El Nino and La Nina. Positive values represent El Nino, and these negative values over here represent La Nina. And you notice where we go down from where we are right now, slowly, over the next few months, but we go down, and we do go into negative values, some even reaching close to negative 0.5, which on either side of the scale is usually the threshold for El Nino or La Nina, 0.5 being El Nino and negative 0.5 is La Nina. So something very interesting to watch. And you can even see it here. This is basically this map, but in percentages released by the CPC. You notice, and they even have them colored for you, especially if you're not familiar. And you notice this is as of December. El Nino, which we're in right now, that goes downhill, and we see the percentages for neutral conditions, which is neither La Nina or El Nino, but we're kind of in the middle. That increases as we head into the spring. By the way, if you want to know what this is, these are seasons, which basically means 3-month time periods averaged out, basically, because we know a season usually lasts for 3 months. So this is what this is. So right now, this is the current one that we're in, November, December, January, and then it goes December, January, February, March. You get the idea. And notice as we head into spring, April, May, June, and even March, April, May, you notice from there, and especially onward after that, El Nino chances significantly decrease. And notice what else decreases. La Nina. See a pattern? This is the CFS V2 climate model forecast, also for ENSO. And you notice this one, if you look back at the first one, which is a kind of a graphical thing, very similar to this, you notice that there was a downtrend in all of the modeling, the average showing a decline in the values. And you notice this model too also has an average that is decreasing as well. That's representing, once again, we're going to move away from this El Nino pattern that we're in, and slowly we're going to get into La Nina. Very interesting indeed, and that all the models show that as well. There's also that and the visual, and these are probably what we're going to look at a lot more, especially as we head closer towards hurricane season, especially towards April, May, and June, especially when I do my numbered forecast, when I release numbers like what most people do. Like let's say I'm predicting 1794, not actually what I'm predicting, but you get what I mean. We'll look at these models a lot more, but they're still there for us to look at any time. By the way, courtesy of Tropical Tidbits, that's where I got all these models from, and you can see it on here. Levi Cowan, Tropical Tidbits, really good site. And you notice here, this is for July, August, September. This is the CFS, which we looked at. So basically this model, but in a visual representation. CFS V2, CanSIPs, this is that model. And then this is a NMME. This is the North American Multi-Model Ensemble. So kind of think of it as an average of different models put into one. This is what this is. And you notice what they all show. Two very important regions of the world. First of all, ENSO, the Pacific, the El Nino, that's gone. We don't see any sort of El Nino signature on here. In fact, this is a pretty potent and very clear La Nina signature on all the models. And also very importantly, look at the Atlantic too. All the models seem to agree on what seems to be a pretty warm Atlantic picture. Both very interesting factors indeed. Plus visual climate models, and some people, they tend to look down on this. They tend to say, oh, you shouldn't use precipitation forecasts because they're not always accurate. They don't really accurately represent what could happen. But I still think they do still generally give an idea of what to expect, at least atmospherically. I still think they do have some merit. And you notice all of them here as well show a lot of precipitation, a lot of green, meaning a lot of precipitation, high precipitation values across the Atlantic, and most importantly, in the deep tropics. That's something very important to monitor and to take note of, because if you think they were in the deep tropics and they're during hurricane season, during June, July, August, September, in the NMME's case, June, July, August, because it doesn't go out to September at this moment, but it will next month, and I'll show it on my channel next month. They're all precipitable, and very much so in the deep tropics of the Atlantic. So you would only assume that atmospherically it's saying maybe we're more primed for more hurricanes for next season. Just maybe. Just a thought. The predictions so far, though, not really many predictions this early, which is why I'm not really doing them now, but I'm just, of course, highlighting it. This is the TSR. This is as of December 11th, so actually quite a bit time ago, over a week ago, they released a prediction: 20 named storms, 9 hurricanes, 4 majors. Very aggressive forecast, and in fact, it is their most aggressive December forecast that they have ever released so far. Very interesting indeed, and a lot of the reasoning is exactly what we showed. Transition possibly to La Nina, and also a lot of the climate models, long-range climate models, hinting at a very warm Atlantic. Even though it's this far, all of them are in agreement. The Atlantic looks very warm for next year as well, so they have that. What about me, though? Here are my future forecast dates. So we did today, December 20th, our qualitative forecast, meaning we're not doing a number forecast, but we're taking a look at the factors that go into a season. But I will do a first number forecast April 17th. So mark your calendar, and also a reason to subscribe. June 1st. That's when I tend to do a live stream on June 1st, kind of welcoming the hurricane season. That's why I call day one, because June 1st is the first day of the hurricane season. I do an updated forecast then, and I've not done this one, but I really do hope to do it this upcoming season. August 1st, I do a mid-season forecast, kind of a final updated forecast based on conditions as we're heading into the peak season, because August, September, October, the 3 major months we watch for as the peak months of the hurricane season, August being one of them. Kind of like an updated forecast. You get what I mean. Updated forecast heading into the season already, also with the information of what we have of the season so far to date, since hurricane season begins June, and we'll already have an idea of what the season might be like in August, because we'll already be in it, and that's when I hope to do my final forecast. I always say that I'm gonna do it, but I never actually do it. But I really do hope to do it this upcoming season. And if you want to see if I do it, well, I suggest you subscribe to me on YouTube. And hey, I even have this one just out of convenience. But follow me, really. I really do encourage you to follow me. YouTube, Discord, and Twitter. I still call it Twitter, not this other thing. I don't know what this other thing is, but hey, it's still there. It's what they call it, but not what I call it. Twitter, Discord, YouTube. Follow me on YouTube, which we're hopefully on right now. Just click the subscribe button. Discord. This is my Discord handle. So if you type that in, you want to send a friend request and ask me a couple questions about my video, or just ask me in general questions that you have, or even just to talk. Why not? Just hit me up. My Discord handle here, and Twitter if you want to follow me. Just search up my name, search up my YouTube channel name on Twitter, and you should find an account that links me to all my videos, because that's me. Anything else is not me. I only have one Twitter account right now, so keep that in mind. But I do thank you for sticking around. If you enjoyed, once again, I do suggest subscribe. Subscribe, join me along, and I will post a video as soon as this Saturday. I'm doing weekly Saturday videos, so I'll have one this Saturday. So hey, subscribe if you want to see that, and also just subscribe to help me build, especially into next season. Would really appreciate it, to develop some sort of community here on YouTube. That's the goal, of course. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Until then, stay safe, and we'll talk again soon.